You would know it if you looked at it today, but this is the place where they made all the great post-war Lionel trains up until 1966. Hi, my name is Don Shaw. We're going to look at my favorite engine that came out of here, the Lionel Trainmaster. When it was introduced, Lionel was America's largest and greatest toy company, and the Trainmaster was its largest and strongest engine. Today we're going to look at all the variations of the Trainmaster, identify the characteristics of a Trainmaster reproduction, and watch them pull in the layout. So let's start by going out to my Lionel store and service station in Mountain Lakes. And let's go by train.
We're riding New Jersey Transit's brand new Arrow 3 commuter cars. These rails used to be owned by the Lackawanna Railroad until 1960. The Lackawanna was the first company to own a Trainmaster. That was in 1953. The next year, Lionel cataloged their first Trainmaster. It too was the Lackawanna, the 2321. The Lackawanna Railroad owned 15 Trainmasters. In the daytime, they pulled commuters, and at night they pulled freight. Trainmasters backed up E8s that pulled the Phoebe Snow from Hoboken, New Jersey to Buffalo, New York. The Phoebe Snow ran on this commuter line, the Morris and Essex line. Lionel named some passenger cars after several towns we will pass through. Here's Maplewood, Summit, Chatham, and the town of Madison. Yep, the Trainmasters used to ride these rails.
This is the Lackawanna with the gray top, and this is my collection of all the Trainmasters. There are a total of 9 variations, 2 Lackawannas, 5 Virginians, and 2 Jersey Centrals. The 2321 Lackawanna was cataloged in 1954 with the gray top. It was available separately and in 2 sets. The body is molded in gray plastic. Then the entire body was painted maroon. Then the gray was painted over the maroon. The color is gray not because of the plastic, but because of the paint. And it's a really beautiful paint finish. The last steps in the process were the lettering and the striping. Sometimes when the body is chipped, you can see maroon through the top of the gray. In the steps, you can see the maroon where the gray spray missed. A typical factory defect occurs beneath the mounting screws. Lionel used power tools to drive the screws home, and when they did, the body cracked. It cracked because the mounting tabs on either end of the base were too short for the body, and the body would bend and crack before the two met. Finding a Lackawanna without a crack is very difficult. In fact, I've sold and handled hundreds of Lackawannas and have never seen one without a crack. Even when the paint appears not to be cracked, turn the rim over and check the plastic, and you'll find the plastic is cracked, even though the paint is not. Unlike other popular Lionel engines, the Trainmasters all shared the same basic mechanical and base designs. The popular F3s had 6 different base designs, combinations of horizontal motors and vertical motors, 1 motor and 2 motors, magnet traction and no magnet traction, horns in the powered A unit and horns in the dummy A unit. By contrast, the only variations in the trainmaster were the lamp bracket and the uncoupler plate. In 1964, a change was made from orange armature winding to green armature winding. Vertical motors were an innovation at the time, and the trainmaster was the first high-quality locomotive to have a sheet metal base instead of a die-cast metal base. The next variation of the trainmaster is the maroon top Lackawanna. It too has the number 2321. It never appeared in the catalog. The story goes that the Lackawanna Railroad originally had gray tops and then painted them maroon. They did this because the scrubbers in Hoboken, New Jersey, which cleaned the trains, could not cover the roofs, and the roofs built up a thick coating of soot. The maroon hid the soot pretty well. Some Lionel experts say that the maroon top Lackawannas were built in 1954 and the gray tops in 1955 and 56. This is not true. I have opened sealed boxes containing both of the 1954 Lackawanna sets, and the FMs had gray tops. Gray tops were produced in 1954. It's uncertain when the maroon tops were introduced. In 1955, Lionel introduced the first variation of the Virginian in black and yellow. The entire cab was molded in gray plastic. Then the cab was painted black, then the yellow painted over the black. The lettering is gold. The black Virginian didn't sell very well, and in 1956, Lionel changed the color from black to blue. In an unusual move, the blue Virginian kept the same number as the black Virginian, 2331. The Virginian Railroad also switched their colors from black to blue. Most 2331s are molded in blue plastic. Only the yellow is painted. The yellow is darker than the black Virginians. The lettering is yellow, matching the yellow of the stripe. There is a very rare version of the 2331 Virginian that has blue paint and yellow paint on a gray plastic cab. Lionel used up the gray cabs from the black Virginian and Lackawanna runs before manufacturing the 2331 in blue plastic. The cab was molded in gray plastic. Then the entire cab was painted blue, and yellow was painted over the blue. The yellow of the black Virginian and the blue 2331 are the same. They also share the same gray plastic cab. It may be hard to see, but these are the two blue 2331s, blue plastic, blue painted. The yellow and the blue on the gray plastic model are considerably lighter than the yellow and the blue on the blue plastic model. The second trainmaster that Lionel introduced in 1956 was the Jersey Central. I'm going to save it for last and complete the variations of the Virginians. The blue plastic 2331 was continued in production in 1957 and 1958 without variation. In 1964, Lionel introduced the last two variations of the trainmasters. They were the last trainmasters to come out of Hillside. The body of the 2322 was molded in blue plastic. Hillside had a lot of trouble with stretch marks showing up on the tops. The stretch marks are lines or repeats of the rectangular features. In addition, crow's feet sometimes emanate from the injection mold mark at the center of the cab. In solving the problem, Lionel created the last variation. They painted the blue plastic with blue paint. The blue gives the cab a very rich surface texture.
Here is the unpainted blue 2322. This is the painted blue 2322. Notice how the bare blue plastic reflects the movement of my hand.
The color of the letters on the 2322s does not match the color of the stripe. The lettering is usually greener. On the 2331s, the lettering is an exact match for the stripe. Another problem solved was the cracks near the mounting screws. The 2322 was the only trainmaster not to have the cracking problem. The warning stripes on the ends of the Virginians were rubber stamped. The factory used a fingernail polish brush to touch up scratches and marks on these. The Jersey Central, the 2341, was introduced in 1956. It is the rarest post-war cataloged item to come out of Hillside. There are two variations, the flat orange painted version and the glossy orange painted version. I've seen attempts to lacquer a flat Jersey Central to simulate the glossy Jersey Central. When they do this, either the lacquer does not cover every single paint droplet, and some paint droplets remain flat, or the lacquer flows over onto the blue, making some of the blue glossy when it should not be. I want to identify some examples of overspray and fuzzy interfaces. Notice the orange here next to the cab window where it shouldn't be. The Jersey Central is the only Trainmaster which used heat stamping to apply the letters and numbers. Every letter will be slightly engraved or indented into the plastic due to the heat stamping process. Every Lionel Trainmaster has been counterfeited, identifying the color of the plastic, the grainy paint where rubber stamp processes were used, the overspray, and the fuzzy interfaces will help you discern an original from a fake. Gray plastic cabs were never issued to the public by Lionel. If there's a question about a black or blue Virginian on a gray plastic cab, look through the paint for the color lines of a Lackawanna that has been repainted to be a Virginian.
I like to keep 15 Lackawannas on the shelf for sale, the same number as the Rio Railroad.
In 1964 through 1968, Lionel provided unpainted blue plastic cabs to the public for about $5 each. This made a ready source of cabs available to the counterfeiters.
This is the type of cab used to counterfeit Jersey Centrals. They are almost purple. Here is the color of the original blue. Here is the color of the counterfeit blue. You can see the fine line of paint because of the silk screening.
Lackawannas on blue plastic cabs are counterfeit. Black Virginians on blue plastic cabs are counterfeit. Jersey Centrals on the 1964 purple-blue cabs are counterfeit. This is very hard to detect, especially in a dark room. Get a 1964 Virginian and compare the colors in the sunlight. Get a friend who has a Jersey Central and compare the colors. And assure yourself that the lettering is heat stamped. The Williams Company has manufactured Trainmaster cabs. Aside from being marked on the inside manufactured by Williams, the molds are different. Notice the louver at the short end of the Williams cab compared to the louver on the short end of the Lionel cab. Also notice the louver on the side at the rear. The spacing is different on the Williams cab than it is on the Lionel cab. Lionel used rubber stamping for lettering the Lackawannas and Virginians. Paint that is sprayed is smooth. The same paint that is rubber stamped is grainy. Notice the grainy characteristics on the Lackawanna letters. Also notice the grainy characteristics of the yellow stripe. The lettering on the black Virginian is grainy. The lettering on the 4 blue Virginians is grainy. The gold lettering on the black Virginian is somewhat muted, much as is a stripe on a maroon GG1. On the counterfeits, the gold is very bright. A fun thing to know is that on the originals, the gold lettering contains trace quantities of real gold paint. One easy way to detect many, but not all, of the Jersey Central counterfeits is to examine the symmetry of the lettering. The J and the S close to the short end of the cab do not line up on the original Jersey Central. Most of the early reproductions have perfectly symmetrical letters, although since the counterfeiters have learned this piece of information, they have produced non-symmetrical lettering as well. Lionel spraying and painting processes exhibit very fuzzy and imprecise interfaces between two colors. The last color sprayed on usually sprays and splashes over onto the previous colors. All Lionel Trainmasters exhibit overspray to some degree. The method of most counterfeiters is the silkscreen process used to apply the lettering and numbering. The resulting painting is very precise and fine. There is nothing wrong with a counterfeit. What is wrong is the person who passes one off at huge prices for an original. In fact, if you own a Jersey Central, you really need a reproduction if you want to run it on your layout and just to protect your investment. Again, assure yourself that the lettering is engraved into the plastic as compared to finding a mound of paint from the silk screen processes. The combination of plastic tops and Lionel's painting processes have never been precisely duplicated. As a consequence, the post-war Lionel trains are one of the safest collectible investments. Some people have complained about Lionel's use of plastic, but without plastic, Lionel could not have made such great detail at a reasonable cost. When the Fairbanks-Morse company introduced the Trainmaster, it was the most powerful locomotive on American railroads at 2,400 horsepower. The Trainmaster is also Lionel's most powerful engine. So let's take them to a layout and watch them run. This is a green Madison observation car. It's one of a handful of factory prototypes.
Even though the Trainmaster has the same motors as the GG1 and some F3s, it can pull more Madison cars than either of those engines. These are some of the towns we passed through today: Maplewood, Summit, and Chatham. Growing up, I used to be able to look out of my bedroom window and watch the real Lackawanna Trainmasters run. A steady creep is the mark of a good puller.
If you want to find the Hillside Factory, just come to the intersection of Interstate Route 78 and the Garden State Parkway and look for the real Lionel water tower. It's just like the Lionel number 193. Well, we've looked at all the variations of a Trainmaster and watched them run on a layout. You've learned how to identify an original Trainmaster from a reproduction, so now you can protect yourself. I rarely keep a reproduction on sale in the store, and when I do, they're clearly marked as such. I have not revealed every detail on how to identify a counterfeit, but I'm always glad to take the time and help you authenticate one in question. 1966 was the last year the trainmasters came out of this place. In 1954, they couldn't make trains fast enough. The trainmaster has seen the best days and the worst days of the Hillside factory. Next in the series will be a survey of the Lionel F3. I'll see you then. We're sure that there are more variations to be found in the future. If you have found an interesting new variation, or you just want to talk trains, you can contact me at the train station, Post Office Box 381, Mountain Lakes, New Jersey, 07046, or call area code 201-263-1979.
Stay safe before it's too late. Stop heading for danger. Wait, better play safe. Beware, take care, and always prepare to stop, look, and listen when you get up in the morning. Don't you dare forget a warning when you play. Better play safe.